cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, hell, here we are in Podcaster Valley on a 4th of July evening on a Sunday, and the fireworks
Mike's Daily Podcast
are going off like gangbusters. It's so loud. And earlier today, we were at a barbecue. There was some bratwurst and other things delicious. You may say grilled out or cooked out. A cookout in the South is what they say. Hey, speaking about that, our cat is missing. Yes, somewhere in the house.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The feral cat is missing somewhere at Cafe Anyway, I mean. So at some point
Mike's
during this podcast,
Daily
I might be like, oh, there he is.
Podcast.
Saying that, but I don't know where he is.
Yeah!
So there you go. That is the latest from Podcaster Valley. We may have some guests on this 4th of July evening. I would have loved to have just drank a bunch of the bizarre, what was it that I was given today by Robert Owen Welsh, who used to do the segment with me, Welsh on the World. It was some kind of cider rosé drink. And it had a bizarre name, like, wow, I can't find. Rosé cider is a light red, pinkish colored cider, generally created from red flesh apples, sometimes introducing grapes or other berries into the mix. I guess this is kind of an Angry Orchard thing, as these varieties of red apples or fruits are introduced into the creation of the cider. The coloring from the juice or the skins of the fruit give the end product its distinctive hue. I forget what they had, and it was like a guy's name. I can't find it. There's a bevy.
And here's today's podcast picture.
A bevy of these types of ciders. So I would have loved to drink a bunch of those and just forgotten about the rest of the day, enjoyed my holiday with friends, but had to come home and look over the radio station's playlist for the next day for one of the radio stations that I am in charge of, and there was stuff missing, so I had to get the stuff. And it took a lot of time, and I would not have... Yes, Basil, I know. These are all things that most people don't care about. And in years past, last year, Basil, we hung out with you all night because you were not liking it was interesting. Earlier in Basil's life, he could care less about all those fireworks going off, but the older he got, the more it upset him. One of his old friends, we saw him this evening, who's turning 15 years old this year, is Bailey. And Bailey and Basil had many a fight where blood was drawn over the years. In fact, she once got me, and I still have a scar from it. But Bailey's quite old now and moving quite slowly. But we got to see her today. It was very nice. So hoping Rodler shows up and hoping Bailey is with us for a while longer, because despite the disagreements we've had in the past, Bailey and I are good friends, and we go way back and have the common friend of Basil the Boxer, the late great Basil the Boxer. So I don't know what this cider rose thing was. It was pretty good. But I guess the most famous is Angry Orchard. There's rose hard cider. A bevy of them. By the way, a lot of people asking me, what is a Rodler? And I keep telling them it's a German beer. It's a German beer mixed with lemonade. German beer. I think in America we call those a shanty. Some of us do anyway. So that might be a easier way of figuring it out. Okay. Want to keep your immune system strong year-round? You need more sleep, my friend. Get more shut-eye. Habits that encourage healthy sleep help support a robust immune response. The one experience I always tell people about is about 2017. I had walked Basel so often that I had created a stress fracture in my feet. Oh, and also wearing horrible shoes did not help in the process. And you can probably go back to 2017 and I talk all about it there in the podcast from Mike's Daily Podcast, which, by the way, today, 14 days in a row. 14 days in a row I've been able to do a podcast. I often get interrupted by at least the first or second day I get interrupted, but 14 days in a row. Excellent. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to pull over and stop, because I am not going to do 15 days in a row. I am taking off my mandatory Monday complimentary day off and not doing a podcast. I tell you that now. Oh, and the podcast picture today. Let's we'll pull a picture from a year ago. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll pull something from a year ago. My lovely lady friend was up in Shasta a year ago. Maybe something from that. So if you want to keep your immune system, and by the way, that stress fracture in my feet finally healed 100% when I finally started forcing myself to get to bed early and get at least 8 hours. A whole week of 8 hours of sleep helped heal my feet. I believe that to be true. Research shows that getting enough sleep supports the body's natural defenses against viral and bacterial infections. That's according to the Costco connection, which I also pulled from my talk about strokes yesterday on the last podcast. That was a good one, talking about strokes. During sleep, the body releases infection-fighting proteins called cytokines. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. Is it cytokines? Probably. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Without adequate sleep, the body has fewer protective cytokines to fight off illness. In addition to making people sleepy in response to infections, cytokines help regulate the body's immune levels and response. When levels of certain cytokines are elevated, they make you sleepy, which may be a way to conserve energy to fight off an infection. I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight, though, because it sounds like a war zone out there right now during 4th of July. Missing sleep also reduces infection-fighting white blood cells. Including immunoregulatory natural killer cells. 30% reduction in natural killer cell activity in healthy adults were found after they lost just 4 hours of sleep. Prioritizing sleep before getting a vaccination may pay off in a heightened immunity. Sleep appears to support protective levels of antibodies post-vaccine. People who slept less than 6 hours per night were less likely to be protected after receiving a vaccine than those who slept 7 hours or more. Sleep-deprived adults who received a flu shot had fewer than half the protective antibodies developed by vaccinated adults with normal sleep times. Antibodies have been a big topic this year because they confer immunity against viral illness. The immune system works better when you sleep, and vaccines are definitely more effective when they are administered after adequate sleep. The best way to ensure adequate restful sleep is to establish good sleep practices at home. First, determine how much sleep you need. On average, adults need 8 to 9 hours per night, but everybody is different. On a weekend when you don't have to be up in the morning, allow yourself to wake up naturally without an alarm clock to see how many hours you actually need to feel your best. Don't create stress or pressure around sleep. Instead, make time for sleep by committing to avoid screens, work, strenuous exercise, or stimulating media for 1 to 2 hours every night before bed. That I have heard over and over and over again. Put the phone away. Turn off the TV at least 2 hours before you go to sleep. That's a tall order for many people. Setting the stage for sleep. Keep the bedroom cool, between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 70 degrees. Dark, quiet, and free of electronics. Establish regular times for sleep to encourage healthy sleepy patterns. Getting up at the same time each day and spending 30 minutes in the sunlight in the first hour you're awake helps you sleep by cueing the evening production of melatonin. Interesting. Spending 30 minutes in the sunlight in the first hour you're awake. I have never heard that before. That's supposed to stimulate the melatonin. During the winter months, consider using a light therapy lamp with a light output of 10,000 lux in lieu of natural light. Build in regular movement throughout the day to prepare the body for restful sleep at night. The role of exercise in promoting sleep is under-recognized. Aim for 35 to 45 minutes of physical exercise daily, even if you have to break it up into 5 to 10-minute segments. Exercise between 4 and 7 p.m., and that is especially helpful for sleep. Taking a walk after work is a great way to relieve the mental and physical stress that builds up during the day. And finally, consider strategic supplementation to support better sleep. Respiratory health is on everyone's mind, and studies show that supplemental melatonin may have a protective effect on lung health, thanks to its antioxidant properties. Research has shown that supplemental melatonin may help protect against tissue injury during infections and complement antiviral medications. Be sure to check with your healthcare provider, though, first on all of this stuff. Zinc also can help in your everyday immunity boosting, vitamin D, vitamin C, and as I mentioned earlier, melatonin. All right, hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Who is here right now? Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. It's really great to be here today. Mike Matthews, happy 4th of July. That's right. What is going on with all the illegal fireworks? I mean, it's always bad in California, always bad in the Bay Area, and that's always stupid, especially this year with the drought and everything, is a tinderbox. We are not very smart here. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I think you need to wrap up the podcast now. Why? Is there a fire caused by fireworks close by? Okay, the lack of an answer to that is making me worried. And we still need to find the cat. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Look who just showed up outside a cafe anyway. Lovely lady friend and Stormy Phoenix.
Woohoo! Yay! I'm so glad to be back. It's been a while.
Excellent. Really good. Okay, cool. I turned into Wayne when Wayne's World on. All right, cool. So what have you done today on 4th of July?
I thought you were talking about the other way that we used to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Who's now a proud Raiders fan and followed the Raiders in Las Vegas.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's in Las Vegas.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I totally like Wayne's World. Wayne's World, excellent. Air guitar.
Yes.
The popular air guitar, even Keanu Reeves did it in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Man, Keanu Reeves looks weird now.
And he still looks good.
He does.
Don't mess with Keanu.
I know. And he's a proud mama's boy too.
Is he?
Yeah, he took his mom to like the red carpet. He could have took any other woman, but he took his mom. Right? That's a sweet man.
Take notes, everybody. That.
All right, is sweet.
I
stand corrected. we're outside a cafe anyway. Well, kaboom! There went another firework. That was loud.
And there goes Rodler.
Oh, we found Rodler.
Hiding under the bed.
Rodler's hiding under the bed. So, Stormy Phoenix, what have you been up to since we last talked to you, a couple months back?
Ooh, I've been busy at the horse track.
What do you do at the horse track? Are you a bettor? Are you someone that bets on the horses? You know, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't gamble your life away. You gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em. Know when to walk away. And know when to run. You never count your... Nobody's gonna sing Kenny Rogers with me?
1,000 times no!
All right.
Yeah, no, that's a great PSA to not be a gambler.
What do you do there?
I'm a camera operator, so I record the horses going round and round and plug that rat song.
How do you know rats? Miss, I interview every goth girl on the planet. Are you a goth girl? Oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God. And then Billie Eilish goes, I'm not a goth girl anymore. Look, I have cleavage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She made that little bold statement. That fast transition.
I don't know where I'm getting my news these days, guys. Just don't know.
Twitter, because I've been seeing a lot of your tweets lately.
All I tweet is the podcast.
Yeah, and it's like automatically, like, it's like, dang, he's popping up on my timeline a lot.
Well, and Love, you post to a lot of stuff, right?
Lately, this is the 14th in a row, the 14th daily podcast. I've gone every single day, even though it is called Mike's Daily Podcast. As you know, I have a life and I don't do it daily, but it's a lie. But what do you do at the horse track, Stormy Phoenix?
I just said I'm a camera operator who doesn't bet, and don't ask me for advice about betting because I have no idea.
Okay, I guess we're not going to get anything else out of you about the horse track except there's horses.
And they run really fast.
And sometimes they throw tantrums.
Well, yes! That story you told us earlier about one of the horses that got out.
Yeah, there's
a young horse.
Yeah, there's like sometimes so remember how we were talking about earlier how you like think like, oh, what if like humans or what if horses were to behave like humans and stuff?
Yes.
And like sometimes I think like the horses they get together and they protest for like, hey, if you misbehave, you get away from not running the race. So let's all do it. Like,
They're having a meeting.
yes, I think
It's a
they
horse meeting.
Yeah, that's what they're doing at this moment when they're not being scared of fireworks.
They're like, all right, men, come on, gather.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and
They get their little
fillies.
hooves. Yeah.
See what happens when we crash the show. Look, it's late. We're a little delirious. Things are gonna get kooky.
Love, cookie. Love, I'm looking at my Google Fit, and Stormy Phoenix just texted me and said, I'm here outside. Yes, we are here actually, you texted that earlier. I only have to walk another 600 steps, and then I've gotten to 5,000 steps, and then I get 5 points from Power of Vitality, which is what my company uses. Do you guys have Power of Vitality?
I was like, what?
What is that?
We were talking about horses.
I know. You like switched the topic.
I did.
And
you know what? I'm sorry.
Very rough. There was no safe word. There was no lubricant.
When he said Vitality, I thought of Vitality Bowl, which no longer is in the mall.
Oh.
Yeah, and no longer in Pleasanton. Like, I think you have to, like, go to, like, San Ramon or to get a bowl from Vitality Bowl, which I always thought was, like, overly hyped. Because I had it and I didn't think it was the greatest.
No. Mm-mm. What's that thing that Vitality Bowl has that's this weird... It's got that weird name.
It's like acai.
Yes!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's in that?
I don't know. Isn't it some kind of fruit?
Yeah, I think so. Or
Like a
some
nut?
sort of oxidant. But yeah,
But there's no horse in it.
There's no horse.
Oh
in it.
God.
Yeah, I because it's supposed to be like a healthy food. I don't know if horse meat is like healthy. I don't know. It's
In Germany, my mom grew up. They ate horse meat. Isn't that terrible?
They what?
They ate horse meat.
Oh, they did.
My mom. Isn't that terrible?
Was
So
it?
I don't approve. That's why I keep saying it's terrible. Because I love horses. I want to give them all big hugs.
well, just like you when you interviewed Blake Shelton, he says that rattlesnake tastes like crab.
I did interview Blake Shelton, and thank you so much for listening to that, as Blake Shelton is marrying the Gwen Stefani very soon, huh?
Mm-hmm. Good for him.
Stormy Phoenix, there's so much to ask you, and there's so little time. What are you up to? You're interviewing all these huge goth stars.
Yes.
Like Canon.
Well, she's not goth, but
Canon.
but a star, I would say.
Oh.
I talked about you on my podcast the other day, by the way. I said, I have handed the mantle over to Stormy Phoenix. And I thought, I said, I did not think this, but for some reason it came out of my mouth. I go, she's 19.
Oh, thank you.
Because, well, actually, I didn't say it that way. I said 10 years ago when I was doing these interviews, Stormy Phoenix was only 9.
Wow.
But I have my math really wrong, as you.
It's okay. I probably do look 19.
You
Yeah.
could pass for 19. That's
But-
wonderful.
Thank you.
But you've interviewed so many people now. How do you get prepared? How do you get in the zone when you interview these fantastic these musicians?
Sometimes I don't even think I get into the zone because I get nervous and I prep and I do a lot of research and I write everything down that I'm gonna talk to them about. So I think if I didn't do that, I'd be pulling something out of my my butt.
Yeah. Get on your feet.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm no good at that.
No.
And just talk to them like you already know them. Someone complimented me saying like you talk to them like they're your best friend.
That's a great compliment.
is.
Yes.
You make them feel safe.
Yeah, safe word.
There's a guy, he's really big in country music radio. Blake Shelton. That guy was so funny. He was tall.
was.
He by the way, I don't know if you can tell in that interview, he was not having a good day.
No,
He was tired. He was
What?
upset. Yeah, he was mad at his record rep guy that was driving him around.
I totally did not get that vibe.
And I was a huge fan in that. I mean, his first single went to #1 on the country charts, which that's not heard of. And so I was complimenting him on that. He's like, "Thank you, man."
Yeah, he sounded like he had a good time. I think you put him in a better mood. Yeah.
Love.
Aw, thanks.
That's one of your many gifts.
But Blair Garner, who is a guy very big in the country radio world. He's been a DJ for a long time, and he's interviewed all these huge country music musicians. I asked him, what's your secret? Because you sound so comfortable. He goes, I imagine what the person listening would like to ask that musician, whoever it is, or the singer, So I try and get into the head of the listener, like, oh, maybe they want to know from Canon how she met the guy she's engaged to. That's a
good perspective. That's a good thought, because sometimes, like, I've done, I interviewed this one artist from Ohio, I believe, and at the end of the interview, like after I was done interrogating him with questions, I'm like, do you want to ask me questions? Like kind of like throw it back so they can get to know.
Around.
Exactly. So now they feel comfortable, and sometimes they're like, it's like I put them on the spot, like, oh, what do I ask you? Right? Yeah. Exactly. But it's just for them to be fun and creative. So because even like when people ask me questions, like I'm like like that's why I probably do super terrible at job interviews, because I think I'm the one that likes to ask the questions, not to be giving the answers to.
You should not have to do job interviews. People should just hire you on the spot.
Yes.
Right?
without asking you a question. All they should ask is, how much money should I give you?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I spoke to Allison Swick. I don't know if you remember her. She had like the long curly blonde hair that used to work at the radio station.
Vaguely. Oh, I remember someone named Allison.
Yeah, so I interviewed her on my podcast, and we were talking about how, like, for us, like, women, we need to know our value, and, like, we need to set, like, this is how much we want to make, you know?
Oh.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't even tell us, like, the average. Like, a lot of people are very shy about, like, how much they make, but it's like, well, we kind of know, because that way, if a company were like, well, how much do you want to get paid? Like, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, you don't want to say more than minimum wage. You're like, what does the average mean for a woman in this field, and what should we be earning? Yeah.
Wait, they should tell you that in the interview?
I feel like people should, like, be honest and say, like, this is how much you're going to be making, or this is the average of what you should be making for this role. Yeah.
So the employer should be telling you that while they are interviewing you for the job?
Yeah, because I had a friend that he interviewed for another job, and then he found out the pay, and he's like, yeah, I'm not taking it. So he's like way too low when he was already making like full-time money from another company.
Well, I don't know. A lot of it is the employers, like, you got to do that research on your own. Research my company. You should do. I think a lot of employers are like, well, they did their homework. I like them. I'll hire them and make them do. But you know what? At the same time, I think we need in this world to be kinder to our workers. I interned in radio for a long time for free, and I had to work so hard.
I need to be hard too on the radio.
It was not. So I'm still upset that I let myself. I should have stood my ground and said, "Hey, what should I make?" Well, Stormy Phoenix, we have just thrown down the gauntlet and said, "Change the world, employers."
Yeah.
Wow, we got into a lot of topics on the 4th of July, and now I'm all confused.
Which I think that's why I like Glassdoor, because Glassdoor is like, hey, like, this is how much you should be making. But sometimes I think Glassdoor, like, they like exaggerate the, you know, the average, like, you know, salary you should be making, because it's like I saw one about promotions assistant, and I'm like, I was not making that. I wish.
Where do they get the data from?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I think they probably base it off other companies, you know, but every company's not going to pay, like, you know, for the same role.
And we would imagine it differs by location, you know, like geography, like the salary that you would make, like, in New York or something like that, or San Francisco, is probably not going to be the same that you would make in, you know, I don't know.
Hey, question. In the kitchen, is there something on?
In Podcaster Valley?
In Podcaster Valley, in the kitchen? In Cafe Anyway?
It's
upstairs.
It was off.
It's off. Okay, just check.
It was just tea.
Yeah.
Okay. The way you did that when you leaned down into the mic, you look like Molly Shannon in that.
I love Molly Shannon.
Remember when they were talking about?
I know, right? The superstar.
But they're doing like an NPR station, and they're talking about food. And they're using... It's like very suggestive what they're talking about.
Yes. Isn't Betty White?
Betty White is in one.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin. And, what was the other woman that did the... Anna Gasteyer.
Oh, she's funny.
Stormy Phoenix, please tell us what your next thing is and where people can listen to you on the internet.
Yeah, so, Mike, as you know, I'm going to interview... New Spell, who you featured on your podcast, so bringing it back to you, but they could check me out at Mod Rock Chica.
Mod Rock Chica. And is Chica spelled CHICA?
Correct.
Oh, I get to use this.
That is amazing. You're learning your Spanish.
Excelente.
Muy bien.
Gracias. Odele. Está fin.
Let's stop now.
So before I take it back.
El podcast está fin.
Se terminó.
Okay, se terminó. Se termina.
Se va a terminar.
Se va a terminar.
That's right, yeah.
We're going to edit all that.
Thank you for stopping by on the end of the podcast.
Thank you, Stormy.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Oh, hey, I forgot to say what FF episode it is. FF episode 2266. 2266. 2 2s, 6 6s. 2 doses and 2 saces. See? And you can call and chime in about anything that we covered on... Wait, your microphones were off. You were saying important things. Derogatory.
Created a monster.
You can call and tell us what you think about any of the topics we covered. 336MM Daily. That's 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is Mike Matthews. Daily is what this podcast is. It has been for 14 days. Yay. And find out more at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Thanks, guys.
And I want to give props to Mike because Mike is like the first podcaster that I ever knew, like before podcasting became huge. Now everyone's doing podcasting.
What? Did you hear that?
Love.
Oh. Thank you. MikesDailyPodcast.com.
You